Hey, this is Michelle Kapaska, and welcome to my Fearless Innovator podcast. Thank you for joining me today. My hope is to inspire, educate, and entertain you. Enjoy the show.
For a full transcript of this episode, go to fearlessinnovator.com.
Welcome back to another episode of the Fearless Innovator podcast. From cubicles to cash flow is for everyone wanting to start their real estate adventure while you're working at your job and the desire to earn cash flow on the side using real estate. Follow me as I take you on a journey of how I went from sitting behind a cubicle for 25 years to investing in real estate and earning cash flow. You will learn from my mistakes and share in my rewards. I'm Michelle Kapaska, and I'm the host of the Fearless Innovator podcast. If I can help you with your real estate adventure, please let me know. I've been investing in real estate since 2000, and I might just know a little bit about quitting your job to become a full-time real estate investor. Get in touch with me or leave me your feedback from any of my shows at info@fearlessinnovator.com. Today is a new year, and I wanted to reflect on 2021. I don't know about you, but I keep a diary of things I accomplish each month to ensure I align with my goals. What were my goals? I set goals each year related to business, personal, and spiritual. Let's see how each month turned out. January. My first short-term rental, Iron Horse Acres, was set up and running, and I was working on getting my second short-term rental set up. February, I went to the Daytona 500 with my girlfriend, Brenda, and I also reconnected with Kurt Kalbach, who I hadn't seen in over 35 years. I also attended the Women's Beautiful Conference at Grace Family Church in Lutz. March, I was working hard on getting Iron Horse Acres 2 set up. Getting a house set up for short-term rental takes a minute. Making sure the house is stocked with everything, like you lived in there. I used Andrea Bryant from Staged Right LLC to assist in decorating my house because I can't even draw stick people, let alone decorate a house. Setting up the app platforms are a bit of work also. After the house was completely decorated, then I hired FireLight to come and take the professional pictures. Cell phone pictures don't cut it. You must have professional pictures done. I decided on my 2 platforms. I did one first, tweaked it the way I wanted, and used it on the Iron Horse Acres first. Then once it was tested by my guest, then I set up the second platform. Now I had 2 platforms and 2 houses. At one point last year, I had double booked some guests. So then it came time and I implemented a new software, which at the time was called SmartBnb, which is now called Hospitable. Hospitable integrates multiple platforms, so your calendars are now in sync and you won't make mistakes like double bookings. Hospitable is also great for canned messages. This saves me a lot of time communicating with my guests. They now get time messages prior to arrival, during their stay, and at departure. It ensures I don't forget to send my guests a message. April. I had made the decision to go home and see my mom for the summer. I had planned on going home in 2020 in my RV, but that nasty virus shut me down. This year, I was going to make it happen. I planned to leave in June. I made a short trip home in April to see my mom and to see Kurt. I also made the decision, I was highly encouraged by my real estate mentor, Tyler Sheff, that I should begin podcasting. He felt that I had a voice and I was a great storyteller. Although I could agree on the storytelling part, I wasn't quite sure what my focus would be. He told me to just start ugly and encouraged me to read Chris Krimitso's book called Start Ugly. After reading his book, it totally aligned with who I am. And so I came up with The Fearless Innovator because I felt that it described who I was. And then I began talking to myself behind a camera and a microphone, much like I'm doing right now. My focus was centered around my book that had been launched in October of 2020, entitled Why My Job Quit Me, Jumpstart Your Firing. I wanted to inspire people with my stories of the lessons I learned growing up on the farm and how I took those lessons and applied them to my corporate job in IT and how it ultimately led to become a real estate investor. May, Iron Horse Acres 2 was launched, and now I had 2 short-term rentals. My Fearless Innovator podcast launched on Apple Podcast and Spotify. I was now earning cash flow on 2 properties and was free to travel for 3 months while earning cash flow. June, I left Florida with 13 of my Latino friends. We called ourselves the Insane Wanderers, and we trailered our bikes to Laconia, New Hampshire Bike Fest, where we met up with Kurt. Kurt had ridden his bike from Iowa to New Hampshire to join us for Bike Fest. This was my first time to the Northeast on my bike. We traveled through 12 states and rode at least 2,000 miles in a week. The Kangamungus Highway, even though we rode it in the rain, had amazing scenery. After 1 week of riding, Kurt traveled back to Florida with me. And within 1 week, we did a turn and burn, loaded up the RV toy hauler with our bikes and 2 cats, and we headed home to Iowa for 3 months. Once we arrived in Iowa, we unloaded the bikes, and the toy hauler was now converted into my office so I could continue with my real estate business. First agenda item, go see my mom. I saw my mom every week, sometimes twice a week. Unfortunately, she's in a nursing home now, but I made my mom a priority for 3 months. Great news is she's doing great, and we laughed a lot. Second agenda item, I fired my CPA. There comes a time when in business, you just don't see eye to eye, and it's time to make a change. That change was made, and now I have a CPA that aligns with my real estate business. July, I joined 2 real estate investing groups while in Iowa. FIRE, which is the Financial Independence Retire Early local meetup hosted by Ryan Renzi, and the Des Moines Real Estate Investing Meetup hosted by Mitch Calusi. My goal was to learn more about the Des Moines area real estate market, and learn I did. The best thing I can tell you about real estate is that no matter where you go, if you just get involved and put yourself out there, you can go anywhere you want and learn what you want in real estate. I met the most down-to-earth, knowledgeable people in Iowa. It would have been extremely easy for me to put a team together there and do business. As it was, I met this dynamic duo, young couple, Tyler and Allison. They were both working their jobs, but they had already begun their journey in real estate. And I'm confident if they stay focused, they will be out of the rat race before they hit 30. I'm super excited for them. I flew back to Florida for a quick trip to go look at an RV park in Perry, Florida that was for sale. It was 8 acres with the potential of 20 more acres. He had 10 sites set up, but not operational. I met with the owner, but after a short time, I wasn't able to come to terms. He eventually sold for his asking price, but I just learned the other day that the guy who bought this property has lost his shorts. Note to self, this one may be worth looking at in the near future. For fun in July, we went to a Good Guys car show with Kurt's 79 Trans Am, visited 7 Freedom Rocks with my cousin Stevie, went to Prairie Meadows Horse Track, and we went to my first dirt track ARCA race and an Iowa Cubs game, and my first Kapaska family reunion. Check out Fearless Innovator episode 27, entitled You Only Die Once, to get a better understanding of everything that happened this summer. Let's just say there's no grass growing under my feet. August, I had the pleasure of speaking at the FIRE meeting. After attending the meeting, I learned it was a relatively young audience, so I chose to inspire them with my story about financial independence that I shared with you in the Fearless Innovator episode 24, called Financial Independence. My sister Melissa came to visit us from Arkansas. We went to a lantern festival. We visited the Templeton Rye Distillery. We went to the Iowa State Fair. We went kayaking with Kurt's sister, Julia, and her husband, and I won a partition lawsuit. That story is for another podcast. September was a big month. I got engaged to Kurt. We rode our bikes to the Field of Dreams, saw the antique archaeology, or the Iowa Pickers, as you may know them, and drove my first NASCAR. October, It was time to head back to Florida, but not after visiting 65 of the 99 Iowa Freedom Rocks, mostly on our motorcycles. We put over 3,000 miles on our bikes this summer looking at Freedom Rocks. And Kurt moved to Florida. Now, instead of Kurt attending church online, he now joins me weekly for the in-person services. November. Well, everything slows down over the holidays, but we focused on enhancing Iron Horse Acres for the impending busy season. The house got new paint. Kurt built a large wood fire pit in the backyard. Fences were pressure sprayed. Trees were trimmed. The pool was enhanced with a heater, all just in time for our short-term rental guests. You may be thinking, where are you living, right? Well, great question. We are still in the RV and living in the barn. This just isn't your regular old barn. Ours has a nice extended living room area, my office, and a patio out back. We are capitalizing and being capital pigs and loving life and meeting awesome people that come from up north to escape the cold. I also attended my first Podfest Origins in Tampa. December. After attending Podfest, I learned I have a lot to learn in the podcasting space. So I hired Bruce Wozniak as a podcast mentor. He has helped me make significant changes to my podcast show. I now have a new tagline and a new focus. I'm focused on sharing my journey on how I went from cubicles to cash flow. Check out my new thumbnail. We enjoyed the Christmas season with my sister, Melissa. I have been focused on my real estate adventure, and clearly it is an adventure, but more like learning every day something new in real estate. I'm excited to share with you in my next episodes what my goals are for 2022. I do not do resolutions, only goals. I'll see you next Thursday on the Fearless Innovator podcast. Thank you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the show. If I can help you invest in your future, reach out to me at fearlessinnovator.com. Catch me later.